Hi everybody, welcome to the farm today. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about all of the rumors and what we've been hearing about chicken feed and what that might be doing to our chickens. So when I first heard about this, I was like, number one, my husband was the one that obviously told me because I don't keep up with these kinds of things. So before it started showing up on every single homesteaders group that I'm part of, so before all of that, my husband was of course the one that told me. And I'm going to let Petunia go. She and I were just having some time together, so I'm just going to set her down so that she can eat some grass. There you go, sweetheart. So anyway, what we feed our chickens is obviously really important to us. And so when I heard rumors that there were possibly things in the feed that could be hurting or harming our chickens in any way, I was very concerned. While skeptical, still very concerned. And I started researching it, and what I finally decided was there was absolutely no way for us as small farms and homesteaders and just chicken owners in general, for us to ever truly know what's in the feed, because I don't have a food lab, nor do I know any super trusted source that has a food lab. So with that in mind, we are also on our farms not conducting controlled studies, right? So I'm a science teacher and my husband's a science teacher, and we know that when you can conduct studies, there have to be controls. And so since that's not what we're doing on any of our farms, we cannot know 100% for sure whether or not our hens suddenly start laying because of the feed changes or because of 100 other reasons and factors that could be affecting our flocks. That being said, I'm not discounting anybody's results. All I'm saying is I finally decided that there was no true way to know whether or not the feed was causing a problem or whether or not it wasn't what the problem was. But that being said, I did decide I wanted to change feeds, and I wanted to look into getting a different kind of feed. Just because Purina products are what we're in general talking about, and they have in so many ways monopolized the chicken feed industry, at least the mainstream chicken feed industry. And so the concept of that makes me and other people uncomfortable. So I'll admit, my first thought was, I'll just make my own, right? I was like, I can look up the ingredients, and a lot of people have some pretty good recipes out there. And so I thought, I will just buy all of the products and make it myself. So I started in researching on how to do that and what I would need, and I calculated out all that it would cost. And I thought about the fact that I would need to buy pretty large quantities in order for it to not to be super expensive. And then I would also have to have more storage space to store all of those. I would need a different kind of container to contain feed for that long that doesn't already come in bags, because I would need to take all of those ingredients and I would need to mix them together. And then I also came to the final cost being almost double what I currently pay. Now, I was willing to pay more, obviously, for a feed that would be better for my chickens, but double was a bit steep for me. So I decided that was not going to work. The extra cost, the extra effort, and then the mixing of all of those needs to be very even. So with a crumble feed, all of the ingredients are obviously ground together into a pellet form. And then you can either buy it in the pellet form or you can buy it crumbled up so that it's easier for the chickens to eat. So what you come across, or what I've seen that you come across when you make it yourself, is that your chickens are obviously going to choose their favorite pieces of the feed, and then they're going to eat all of that first, and then they may not eat parts of it ever. So they're not getting a very well-balanced diet like they do from the layered feed. So I'll admit, by that point, I was feeling rather hopeless. I was like, what can I do? I have no control over this. Even if we someday find out from a controlled study that I trust that there is something in the feed, what in the world do I do about it? I can't feasibly make my own. So then I started researching into whether or not I had other places I could go to get chicken feed. Now, of course, we have a local feed store that's really easy to see. I pass it on my way home. But there's actually, they didn't carry any other kind of chicken feed. They carried Purina products at a higher price, actually. So they had the same thing that Tractor Supply has, but just more expensive. So again, I was feeling rather hopeless. And then I found that we have another feed store just slightly farther away. Now, is it less convenient? I'll admit, the main reason that I've been buying all of our farm products at Tractor Supply is because of the convenience factor. I found another local feed store and I started looking into what they have. And I was extremely pleasantly surprised. So this is what I ended up going with. And this is a McAllister product, and they're out of Oklahoma. Now, I live in Texas, of course, but I still consider this to be a very local made product. So what is special about this product is that it is a 20% protein feed. I have never seen, the main product that everyone has is a 16%. And so I have never seen more than 16% in a layer feed, but this is 20%. So here's the other problem with me personally doing my own little study on whether or not egg production goes up when I switch feeds. With 20% protein, I expect that egg production will go up because protein is what the chickens need to make eggs. It would not surprise me at all if my egg production goes up, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything obviously wrong with the Do More or the Purina products that everyone usually buys. Also, the best part about this feed is it is almost to the penny the same price as Do More. So it does not affect what we're paying per month for chicken feed, and it's, I would say, in many ways better. It seems to be really good. Also, the really great part about this is if I wanted to go see the manufacturing plant where this is made, I can go look. And I think there's a certain comfort to that. And I would much rather support my local feed store, my local producers, everything being made locally. There's also another brand that we're going to buy. I'm going to put it up on the screen. And I want to try that as well because it's also a really great price. And it is actually produced in Texas. So I'm really excited to try them as well. On top of that, we are now buying all of our farm products from our local feed store. I found a multi-purpose feed for all of my animals. I've never found a feed that I can feed to my cattle, my horses, and my sheep. Now, I know a one-size-fits-all isn't usually as good as buying each individually, but for me, I'm always concerned that my sheep are going to get a hold of a little bit of my horse feed, which would not be good for them because it has copper in it. And I'm always a little bit concerned that my cattle feed, my horses are going to get some of, and that it has ingredients in it that are bad for horses. So I have never found a product that I could feed to all of my animals and not have to worry about whether or not they are accidentally getting, Lordy Lou. I don't have to worry about whether or not any of them are getting any little bits from anyone else's feed troughs. And I don't have to keep them super separate and worry about whether or not they're going to get into each other's feed. So what I'm getting at and what I'm saying is the only way that we can, as farmers and as producers and as even just small-time chicken owners, what we can do to take control of this situation, in my opinion, is to shop locally and support the local producers and businesses so that companies like Purina can't completely take over. Because if now or at some point anything does happen, we'll only be stuck with one choice. So the only way to try to make sure and to take any kind of control over what's happening to us right now or what might be happening is to shop locally. We need to support the other companies that are making chicken feed, the small places, so that they don't go out of business and we lose our options. So what I deeply encourage you to do is look farther out past your Tractor Supply and find a place that you can truly support and put your money behind and put your time behind, and maybe even get a better product. Because the other great part was, as soon as we came in, our local guy asked us, what we needed. He said, if there's anything I don't have, I will order it for you. I'll keep it stocked for you. You really get that sense of community when you start investing in your community. They will also give back to you. I think it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm almost a little bit ashamed that I hadn't already looked into my more local places so that I could support them, especially during these hard times. We all need that. I would much rather support my small local place than a big company by Tractor Supply. So I am going to say this one little last thing. What really sealed the deal for me, and when I knew I needed to move on from Tractor Supply specifically, was we went in recently, and it was going to be a really cold snap in Texas, and I saw a really big sign in there that said, buy heat lamps to keep your flock warm. And I was like, I literally gasped. In the store, I was like, they are not doing that. They are not suggesting to people that they need to buy heat lamps in order to keep their flocks warm. I was like, they're literally supporting people that are uninformed about what to do with their flocks and making them think that in order to properly take care of their flocks, they need to buy heat lamps. And they had like 100 heat lamps underneath that sign and extension cords, and it was like, keep your flock happy during the winter. And I was like, oh, they did not. I was flabbergasted. I was like, one of two things is true. Either they are literally marketing knowing that that's not the correct thing to do and knowing that people could easily burn their coops down, because that happens every year. Even just around here, every year someone accidentally burns their coop down using a heat lamp inside of their coop. Or two, they're actually unaware of the fact that chickens don't need heat lamps. So both of those scenarios deeply concern me. I'm like, why should I be buying products from a company that knows nothing about actually owning chickens? Or two, it's unethical to be promoting a product with those kinds of intentions of using them. I was there to buy heat lamps for my baby chicks because I knew it was going to be really cold, and I was pretty sure one heat lamp was not going to do the job. So I needed them for a brooder, which is very necessary and totally fine. In the brooder situation, they're not in the brooder with them. Anyway, so I needed them for a brooder, but I would never put one in my chicken coop because chickens don't need them to stay warm. Nor is it safe to do so. So anyway, and I do not blame any of the people that work in Tractor Supply. I'm actually very good friends. So if they see this, this is not you. This is a corporation that I can no longer financially support with a good heart. So anyway, that is my take. I think we need to start taking matters into our own hands. We need to make sure that we're supporting our local businesses and remaining educated about how we should be taking care of our flocks. And that is my goal with this channel, is that you can be educated and we can all be educated and we can make educated decisions with the animals on our property. I highly suggest you support your local places, you do the research and figure out what's close by to you, and decide what you'd like to support. Because I think finding a different brand at Tractor Supply, I've seen a lot of people go organic and buy stuff that's twice as much as Do More. I'm not really sure that that's the answer either. I think the problem is bigger than possibly Purina not producing a good product anymore. I think the problem is deeper than that. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and learn more things and become more educated about taking care of your animals on your farm. Bye guys.